Ever wonder why we all must walk around with either a pocket or purse full of keys? Well, the reason is because there exists a handful of criminals that would violate the property rights of others, even though these criminal types are a tiny minority, perhaps 1/10 of 1%. It is enough. It is a critical mass able to powerfully influence our paradigm or reality. By extension, the criminal ruling class is stealing from all of us through a perpetually increasing cost of living tax, a tax they exempt themselves from through exclusive privilege and make sure we have no keys, that is, no method to protect ourselves from their thieving ways. Right, they're in their ivory towers and they're just picking on all the peons out there that they choose willy nilly, arbitrarily. All they need is a critical mass of a-holes to keep getting their way. Make sure we don't have any keys to protect ourselves from them. They've got all the keys. They're too big to fail. They're too big to jail. They're the top criminal class. And this is tolerable in America? This is the most anti-American paradigm imaginable. Our foreparents would be rolling over in their graves. Believe me, more so. They'd be just railing on us for tolerating this crap. If I said that by now minimum wage should be 50 cents an hour, you would think I'm nuts. But let me explain. Progress under true capitalism dictates that our currency naturally, organically, automatically increases in worth. This fact is due to true free market supply and demand principles, causing an abundance of everything. The cost for everything, therefore, is in constant decline. As the cost for everything declines, the worth of our currency steadily increases until we are all free through wanton universal absolute prosperity. So if wages in 1963 were about a buck an hour and sufficient to enjoy a middle class standard of living, then 50 cents an hour would make you rich in no time. Right. 50 cents an hour could be worth $5 an hour buying power then. So why not? Why not have wages go down? It's a two-way street. Okay? So let's be intellectually honest. Don't have to be smart. Just have to be honest about capitalism and what it produces. How do you define progress? Shared wealth across the board is what happens automatically if you don't meddle, don't tinker, don't manipulate, don't bail out, don't protect the criminals. The government in America has been run like a successful, self-interested business corporation with a very shrewd, that is to say evil, that's the original meaning of the word shrewd, chief financial officer, that's CFO, and CEO, chief executive officer, running the show. In their pea brains, for being evil, that's why they have a pea brain, they're evil, there is always only one solution: continuously, perpetually, forevermore raise revenue by raising taxes, thus effectively passing the buck of no return. Just a hellish trajectory toward less and less freedom for the masses of everyday unsung working class heroes. That is we the people, the only legitimate government. So that's who's paying the price. The only legitimate government is the regular people. Just everyday people are paying it. They socialize the debt and tell you that this is socialism, that this is, we're the socialists, but they want you to think they're the good kind of socialists. They're not. It seems ironic that so many professed Americans contend America is a, quote, racist nation when there is not another country on earth that perceives America as a racist nation at large. But sadly to say, we have allowed a very un-American value to prevail in our land, that is classism, or simply wealth imbalance, a very sad, dire, pernicious reality for social cohesion in our land. That's right, folks, you cannot underestimate the trouble we're in and what the implications of turning this thing around and getting on a new trajectory, permanently new trajectory toward freedom. It's a big deal, my friends. It is a big-ass deal. If I tell you that I'm glad you're, quote, loaded, got a lot of dough, if indeed you are, I also must divulge that I am sad that we're not all, quote, loaded. That's right. I see no logical reason why we cannot all be loaded from birth. Why would any rational human being reject a divine birthright paradigm whereby it is a given that they/we were born rich? Yet, as we all know, many would reject such a paradigm as irrational. Why would you reject it as being irrational? Because you've been trained thusly. It sounds like a pipe dream. It sounds idealistic. Because you've been trained to believe that. Most people cannot imagine a world system, a society functioning without any form of money, yet still having total prosperity. Yet I have no problem imagining that world. None at all, because I've spent plenty of time imagining and know that it's very feasible. Understanding and embracing the virtuous predicate behind loving one's enemies is essential if believers are to do so from their hearts and minds, that is to say, genuinely. The far greater power of God is then revealed through the individuals that practice doing so, invariably, inevitably, eventually prevailing over the evildoers with said God-given power of love. Right, even like Einstein said, the greatest power in the universe is love. Okay, this is how we're going to defeat our enemies. Just because one's beliefs are based and predicated upon their individual perception in no way equates to their beliefs being derived from logic. Just because that's your perspective and that's your reality, your perception is reality, it doesn't make it logical. Often, self-serving survival mechanisms take over our hearts and minds, driven primarily by artificial invented fear triggers utilizing monetary, financial methods, i.e. money-based means. That's right. This is how they operate, man. Fear is a very powerful driver. Oh, God, that hurts. Gradually increasing social stability, security, freedom, safety, cohesion, and prosperity are all qualities at war with the evil world forces wanting to keep the opposite as the rule of the day forever. The question is, will the masses capitulate to coexisting with perpetually growing financial fear, or overcome the evil ones by the power God grants, we the peeps, that God grants we the peeps? Money and all the sundry proponents thereof are a sadly powerful, alluring challenge. A mighty strong temptation is involved in the love of money. Yeah, the motivation, the incentive people have is very powerful. We can get it. We get it. We all understand why people love money. The big question about, quote, reality is whether you and whether I am free to choose my reality, or must I capitulate to a wholly forced unreality for reasons of made-up illogic based upon madness. Like we're being trained. They're rendering us in their image and likeness. Insane. As a species, as a race, we're in a lot of trouble. We've really stepped into it deep. Madness deeply. Our only hope is to implore God for help and for Him to reveal His boundless mercy and amazing grace to deliver us from a mad world. It's the only hope I see, folks. I really, people are just too easily taken by money. They're too easily won over by the forces of this world. They're very powerful and alluring and enticing and vexing. My advice on conservative precepts and my advice on liberal precepts is identical. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are noble, sound, and virtuous qualities in both camps. We must come together on the most overriding value, attaining happiness through absolute freedom for all. This is it. This is where all the good socialists and all the good capitalists are going to come together. This is where we're going to meet in the middle. It's just saying, we demand to be happy. You don't enslave me, I won't enslave you. Okay, that's it. So we've all got to figure this out, folks. From God's perspective, it's going to be God in the mix. Instead of the devil being in the details, we got to inject God into the details and demand change. Demand that the righteous prevail in the land. Demand that justice is the rule of the day, and that the peeps, the regular, everyday, unsung hero peeps, working class peeps out there in America, get their way for a change, okay? Come on, folks. Let's get it together.